Hey Bayek, it's me Ian, and in today's video I'm looking at this. This is Night of the Big Heat from 1967. I'd just like to thank Tony for sending this to me. Thank you so much. This is 94 minutes long. It's written by Jane Baker and Pip Baker. Also, Ronald Lyles. Now, Jane Baker and Pip Baker, if you're a Doctor Who fan, you may recognize those names. They wrote The Mark of the Rani, 1985, and two segments of the Trial of the Time Lord. That was Terror of the Vervoids and The Ultimate Foe. That's 1986. That all those two episodes within the Trial of the Time Lord, and also Time of the Rani from 1987. So that's those as writers. Their story is based on Night of the Big Eat from 1959, a novel by John Limington. Now, this is directed by a name that just is so wonderful when I hear it. It is Terence Fisher. Terence Fisher, I just, our total awe of him as a director. He, of course, is so well known for all those Hammer films that he directed. He directed really the first films to really establish Hammer Gothic period. As well as doing stuff outside the Gothic period. And he'd also directed a lot of things before that were not horror related. But if we look in terms of Hammer, The Curse of Frankenstein, 1957, such an important film, and Dracula, 1958, and The Mummy, 1959, established those universal monster stories. He directed all of those. Also, a film that I really love is The Hound of the Baskerville, the Sherlock Holmes one with Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing, 1959. And I just think, for me, one of his great films is 1968, The Devil Rides Out. What a film that is. But there's so many that he directed. He's such a great director. So let's look at the cast. The cast, we have got Christopher Lee, of course, as Professor Godfrey Hansen. I mean, what an actor, what a legend he was. He started his career in 1948 and went right through to those later years of doing Lord of the Rings, and Star Wars, two massive things. But he's just in so many films. He really, a lot of, obviously, Hammer association with Dracula, but he's in so much more than that. And what an actor he was. He was just absolutely fantastic. I think his last film appearance before he died was in The Hobbit, The Battle of the Five Armies, 2014. But just think of that, 1948 right through to 2014, and the amount and quality of films is just amazing. What can I say? As the next character I'm going to mention, of course, is Peter Cushing. he plays Dr. Vernon Stone. Again, a career that goes right back to 1939. Wow. And his last film, of course, which we covered not too long ago, was Biggles' Adventures in Time in 1986. But Peter Cushing is just associated with so many roles. And, of course, his association with Christopher Lee and Hammer. Of course, he was in The Curse of Frankenstein with Christopher Lee in 1957. And he did all the things like Abominable Snowman 57, of course, I said Dracula 57. And, of course, he was in The Hound of the Baskervilles 1959 as Sherlock Holmes. What a character, but as I said, 59, The Mummy. And then he was in Star Wars. Yeah, people may forget that. He was in Star Wars 1977. But his career was just fantastic. There's so many roles. I just go on and on. But obviously his association with Hammer is there, very strong. But really, and TV roles that he was in. What a great actor. I love Peter Cushing. He was just such a great actor. But he's in this, yes. Then we've got another face you might recognise for sort of films in the 60s, 70s and 80s. But it's his voice ultimately that is remembered. He's very much got an authoritative voice, which was used certainly in his later years. Very much so. Or even before that, I suppose, you say in the 70s. Patrick Allen, of course, who plays Jeff Callum. Now, he was in a Hammer film, which was quite controversial, but very powerful, which was Never Take Sweets from a Stranger from 1960. What a film that was. Amazing film. He was in Captain Clyde 1967. He was in Night of the Generals 1967, which is about the Hitler assassination attempt. He was in Body Stealers 1969. He was in Puppet on a Chain 1971, a film you don't hear much of, but I remember really well, which is based on an Alistair MacLean story. Alistair MacLean was a novelist at a certain time who was extremely popular, and they were making films. Puppet on a Chain. I'd love to see that more talked about, and maybe a good release of that would be really interesting, but perhaps not. But it's a very good film. It's outstanding. And then we've got The Wild Geese, 1978, he was in, and The Seawolves, 1980. Absolutely some great films there. So that's Patrick Allen, but his voice is just known. I remember it so well, and he was using it. And in the adverts, was it the Barrett Home adverts? So things like that. I just remember, what a voice. Then we've got Sarah Lawson, who plays Francie Callum. Frankie Callum. She was in the Browning version, 1951. She was in On the Run, 1963. And of course, it keeps popping up again. She was in The Devil Rides Out, 1968. Film, I love the film that so much. She was in Battle of Britain, 1969. And she was in, I think it's a bit campy, but it's a really good film, I think, is The Stud, 1978, with the brilliant Joan Collins. I know it's of that period, but The Stud and The Bitch go so well together. But she's in The Stud anyhow. That's 78. Then we've got Jane Amero, who plays Angela Roberts. She was in The Lion in Winter. What a film. Epic, 1968. And Hands of the Ripper, 1971. A very much underrated Hammer film, that one. Absolutely wonderful, Hands of the Ripper. TV films and TV series are abound. Lots of them, absolutely. Wonderful. And then we've got a very familiar face. Crikey, he's one of those actors, you see his face and think, oh my, yes, it is Percy Herbert who plays Gerald Foster. Wow, just some of the things that he was in. It's going back quite a way as well. 1957, Quatermass 2. Wow, Quatermass 2. He was in Bridge of the River Kwai, 1957. He was in Yesterday's Enemy, 1959, which I think is a totally underrated Hammer war film. It is an amazing film. I know I preached about that film, but I was so impressed when I watched it, really. The Guns of Navarone, wow, 1961, is in that. And what a film that is. An absolute classic war film. He was in Mutiny on the Bounty, a version I really like. There's been a lot of versions of it, but this one has got Marlon Brando in it, and I think it's great, underrated totally. Carry On Jack, 1963, yes, a Carry On, but brilliant. Then another brilliant film, I keep saying it, don't I? Bunny Lake is missing, 1965. We've mentioned that before. We've reviewed it. I've got a copy. Laurence Olivier in that one. Absolutely amazing. Then we've got Carry On Cowboy, which a lot of people think is one of the great Carry On films. It's highly rated. That's 1965. And of course, he was in one of my all-time favourite films. 1 Million Years BC, 1966. He was in Tobruk. I mentioned Tobruk because I think of my dad. 1967, a war film that he loved. Doomwatch, 1972. He was in that. And he was in this. This is an absolute corker. Beware My Brethren, from 1972. That is a crazy film. Absolutely wonderful. He's in that. Then he was in The Fiend, 1972. I mean, crikey, all these films. He was in Hardcore. Yeah, Hardcore, 1972. And he was in The Seawolves, 1977. The Seawolves, The Wild Geese, 1978. I mean, just what a career for this actor. It's just been in all sorts. Absolutely wonderful to see him. Oh, wow. I'm just looking and thinking, yeah, what a great contribution to acting. British film. Oh, wow. And then we've got somebody called Kenneth Cope, who plays Tinker Mason. Kenneth Cope has been sadly in the news very recently because he passed away, and he had a massive career as well as before it was more of his well-known role that he played. But we'll get to that in a minute. I'll just say he was in, and I always rate this. I rate this film so highly because there's no like it. He was in The Damned, which is a Losi film from 1961, which is I can't stop preaching about this film. The Damned is such a great film. It starts off as a biker film, and you've got these characters, and then it becomes a sci-fi film. I always talk about it, but I just watch it. Astounding. It's Oliver Reed, of course, in it. Oliver Reed. You can't say it better than that, can you? But anyhow, I'll go off, not and then he was in Carry On, at Your Convenience, 1971. Oh, yes, I remember that one. And, of course, Carry On Matron. I love Carry On Matron. I think it's one of my favourites. 1972. It's just, that one is, it's absolutely brilliant. I just love that. And he was in the George and Mildred film, you know that, 1980. But as I say, and I've got to say, I didn't realise this. I only just saw this, that He was in Doctor Who. He was in Warrior's Gate from 1981, which is a late Tom Baker's story. I think that's from Tom Baker's last season. He was in that. And then, of course, I brought it up last, but of course, he's so well known as, well, in Randall and Hopkirk, which is an absolute classic series. There's no like it. He's so clever. He's so brilliant. ITC classic. That's it. That you just can't help but just love that. So that is the cast. I have gone on a bit there about this cast, but it's an interesting cast. So what is this about? Now, it's set on the island of Farre, which is somewhere off the English coast. And it's experiencing a heat wave. Oh, okay. But it's in midwinter. Oh, what's going on here? You're saying, well, yeah, why are we experiencing this heat wave? It's incredible. And it seems to be getting hotter and hotter. And then the story is really centered at the inn throughout this story, the inn there. All the characters appear to be in and out of this inn. But this mysterious character, Professor Hansen, appears, played by Christopher Lee. And he is definitely up to something in his room as we see all things going on. And in the mix, we have Peter Cushing as the doctor. He's trying to work out why they're having these deaths that have happened. And well, it's always wonderful to see him, but he's underused in this, which is a shame. I just think, why can't we have more Peter Cushing? But he's there, so I'm happy with it. And you get to see all these events happening and the characters involved and various complications. Patrick Allen plays this writer who's having an affair, or, well, rekindling maybe an affair. It's all going on. And it's just exciting. It's a wonderful story. My only gripe with it, and I shouldn't really have these gripes, is the ending just seems so rushed. And maybe the aliens, the budget may be running out, just seem a bit of a letdown. But hey, I'm used to all these kind of things, and I'm not going to knock special effects, but you may be thinking, I could just do with a little bit more. But hey, it's all right. It's an entertaining film, and the fact that it ends suddenly, I can put with that. But it just ends really abruptly. It's almost like, oh dear, we've run out of budget. Oh, it's time to go home. Quick, end it. So that's how it ends. But great film, very enjoyable. Absolutely love it. And it's of that era, I suppose you could say. And here it is. There it is again. Brilliant. And we've got, there's the disc. Beautiful disc. And I've probably waffled on far too long for y'all. So, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. I'll let you know when I put out these videos. There's a playlist. You can see all the other films that I reviewed. Also, TV shows, bit of music, all that kind of stuff. But if you like this video, now if you really do like this video, please give it a like. Get it out to YouTube so other people might enjoy it. And if you've got any comments, please put your comments down. I love to read your comments. And I'll always reply to them. Thank you so much. And that's it. I've gone on far too long. So all I'm going to say is, I'll see thee again.